Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another Nerd Nation stream. And today we're talking about the first 5 episodes mid-season of Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks. I'm here with my motley crew of Star Trek enthusiasts. Today we have my usual partner in crime, Roberto. Say hello, Roberto. He's still clicking. Oh, there we go, finally. Well done.
I'm
what am I
here,
paying you
sorry.
for? All right, and then we also have Buck Crimes, Chief of Security. Welcome, Buck Crimes.
Thank you.
Is Mrs. Buck Crimes with you?
No, she's not. Unfortunately, she's working at the moment.
That's unfortunate too. I love your wife. And finally, we also have Boogeyman 2132. Hello, Boogeyman.
Hello.
How you doing? Enjoyed your chicken sandwich?
I am.
Very good, very good. He's currently eating right now, and so whilst he's masticating, we shall we'll leave him to it. Okay, so the first 5 seasons of Star Trek Lower Decks has been released, and prior to the release of this show, there was a lot of controversy over Star Trek Lower Decks. This isn't the Star Trek we wanted. You know, this is crazy. This is Rick and Morty. You know, this is Ren and Stimpy. What the hell is all this? This isn't Star Trek. What the hell were people thinking making this nonsense for? This is for kids. You know, Star Trek's lost its mind. Sometimes you just got to give something a chance, and there are certain shows currently, in Star Trek production which are not my cup of tea. But let's not talk about that too much. Let's talk about what is my cup of tea, and what is, and that is actually not only being really great but surpassed my expectations, is Star Trek Lower Decks. This show is fantastic. It has the heart of Star Trek as well as a much needed comedy that Star Trek has been lacking for years. It's gone too dark, and we needed something like this to lift our spirits. Many elements of Star Trek are still in this show. Nearly everything Star Trek is still in this show. Characters are mentioned from other shows by the characters in this show. It is part of the same universe, so to speak. But it doesn't take itself too seriously. And it does when it needs to on certain issues, which should be taken seriously. And even then, it puts a light-hearted spin on that. This show is just fantastic. So we're going to initially talk about episode 1, which was the pilot, and obviously getting people introduced to the characters and so on. How did you guys, first of all, find Lower Decks in general before we start talking about episode 1? Cousin Cheeto, I'll start with you, mate.
I love the show. I think as you said, I really echo everything that you were saying. It's kind of a breath of fresh air, and although I don't hate Picard and Discovery, if we got another doom and gloomy show, like another, like Discovery and Picard were all there, they all were kind of somewhat downers. This show is more of it's just, you're right, it doesn't take itself seriously. It's just a nice little 25-minute watch. There's a lot of references, Easter eggs. I don't consider this show canon. I consider it loose canon. So it's like, I don't feel like anything they do in this show is going to impact the actual canon of the series. Like if the Genesis, if they bring back the Genesis project, I don't feel like that they're gonna have that on another show. So I consider this loose canon. I don't think anything that happens on the show is going to affect the main continuity, but we can't take it too seriously because it's a comedy and it's but they do take themselves seriously, which is what I can appreciate about it.
Yeah, that's the best type of comedies. It's like the show is not too serious, yet the characters are being serious, and you get that balance right. It's pretty cool. Buck Crimes, what you got to say so far? With the first 5 episodes in, how are you finding the show?
First off, I love the show. It's great. The reason being is because you get all that little minutia and stuff like that of the actual jobs that the people are doing in a very mundane and very relatable way, I think. Mm-hmm. Everything from the doctors and the medics to just the engineers in general. I love that stuff. So I think that the show itself is just doing really good. I just hope they continue to run what they're doing right now.
I agree as well. Chris, Boogeyman, how are you finding the first 5 episodes so far? Is it your cup of tea?
Absolutely hysterically stunning. Like,
Yeah.
I was very skeptical before I started watching the first episode. And I mean, immediately within like the first 30 seconds of the first episode, I texted my brother and I went, okay, this is going to be good. I mean, I've laughed every single episode. I'm usually not into this kind of TV, but this is definitely.
Likewise.
Yeah, and I just want to add that I'm not into Rick and Morty and all that. So I mean, like, yeah, I think that this kind of comedy in a start, it just works. It's like how Rick and Morty is very Back to the Future-esque.
Yes.
Yeah, it kind of just this kind of comedy lends itself to this kind of sci-fi. Something
parody.
It's parody. It's parody on itself.
Yeah, it's parody.
It's like it's one thing. I don't know if you guys watch. You guys probably don't watch, but Dragon Ball Z for years, and then they had Team 4-Star does parodies of Dragon Ball of it's called Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and it's just so good. Like, and they love it. They love Dragon Ball, and but it's so funny because they love Dragon Ball so much, and it makes fun of itself, and it's the exact same kind of comedy, and it's so good, so good.
I think there's been many parodies of Star Trek, but not being Star Trek. This is the first time Star Trek has made a parody of itself. And it's about time, too. They've got so much goddamn material. When you've been around as long as they have, over half a century, then you've got enough material to deal with to make these parodies and make it relatable. You can laugh at the stuff that has been done for years. Like, even in the most recent episode, actually, I don't want to talk about all the individual episodes individually, if you don't mind, guys. If you do, I'm happy to go so, but my mind's a bit fried on everything because some of the middle ones have kind of escaped me a little bit. I might need a refresher. But even with the,
I just say we do like our favorite moments and stuff like that. Like, can we talk about them?
Yeah, fair enough. I kind of lost my train of thought now. So what was one of your I'll start with Chris. What was some of your favorite moments in the show so far?
There's actually a lot. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the list of the episodes right now. Like, I mean, you've got, episode 3, trying to keep, they're putting a mockery on like a lot of these businesses and stuff that, that are very Amazon-ish. With the timing, like, oh, you got 13 seconds to do this. You got 60 seconds to.
Listen, I'm in my field in therapy, like, that resonated with me a lot because if anyone out there is in the therapy field, there's a productivity you have to keep, and it is. I even texted my non-Trek friend who I work with, and I sent her clips, and I said, you have to watch this, and you have to tell me that this is not exactly what we do every single day. And she's like, I don't know anything about Star Trek, but oh my God, this is exactly what we go through every single day.
But then you get other stuff like.
Remind me more of that episode. I'm trying to scratch my brain.
Oh, it's the one where they were doing the what was it, time or however they pronounced it. Basically, they were trying to pad.
The time off.
Yeah,
the time off one. Yeah, because those guys are taking the piss. They're basically doing the Scotty. They're doing the Scotty trick. Just never tell them how long it really is. Yeah, the miracle. Yeah. Okay, I remember now. Yeah, there you go. You see, it's easy to forget. But excellent stuff. Yeah, I loved it. And they're all getting stressed. It was fantastic. Anything else?
I mean, I could sit here and I can go into each episode and pick out stuff, and it's just, that one sticks out the most with me just because so many people like me and my brother. We both have gone through the whole production time or whatever it's called.
Yeah, fair enough.
Productivity. Thank you.
How about yourself, Cheeto? Just give me something that.
I mean, that is definitely one of the episodes that I just kind of rolled on the floor with because I'm like, oh my God, this is me every day. I don't know. There's just so many good fun parts. On the first episode, where Blemler is just trying to catch Mariner doing something like bad or something like that because the captain basically guilted him into doing it. I love the most recent episode. I just thought it was hilarious when when the science off. I can't remember their names. Is it Tindy and
The green
Yes,
one.
it's Cindy. Yep.
Tindy and what's the cyborg's name?
See, that's the thing. I don't even know their fucking names yet. I keep forgetting.
But and that guy too. I mean, they're just so obsessed with their jobs. It's just hilarious. And they're just sitting there, and they want these T-88s or whatever it is, and they're just like, and they're just sitting there in the thing, and they're scanning. It just scans so quick, and all they're doing is pointing and scanning. It's like they're doing a wedding registry. Like they're just sitting there scanning. Oh, how many diagnostics have you done? Oh, I've done 18. Oh, or she's like, I've done 22. He's like, he pushes a button on the side of his head, and he's like, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's just like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like,
that's cheating.
Yeah, that's cheating. So she keeps going. It's just like they're just like siblings, and it's just hilarious. What else was there?
Also, that's going to happen in the future whenever people have like cyborg implants and stuff like that to be able to do that. They're going to.
Yeah. I love Mariner in general. Mariner is Michael Burnham done right. I'm sorry, she is. And I mean, at least in this comedy sense, like Michael Burnham, and I've said many times in the past, and I'm not, the only thing I don't really like that I really don't like about Discovery is Michael Burnham. I'm not a big fan of that character at all. But I feel like Mariner is just like a good Michael Burnham. And like what, like, I don't know. I just, Michael Burnham's just bad because she's a bad officer, in my opinion. But like, Mariner is just like, she's just trying to do the right thing. But she goes on unconventional, un-Starfleet ways to do it. And you know what? I mean, even Picard had sometimes admitted that you have to do the wrong thing to do the right thing. So,
Cisco's definitely done that. How about yourself, Buck Crones? What else do you like? What do you like about Lower Deck so far? Anything in particular?
Specifically, I love the world building that they're doing and expounding on other new species of alien and such. So far, my favorite character happens to be the Doctor. I love how they did her character. Yep. And I mean, the series, I hope it keeps going. For a cartoon series, it looks like it's really well written. The characters have actual camaraderie in there. And it kind of has not such a stodgy feel of Star Trek to it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It didn't feel as stuffy as, say, TNG was.
I agree. Oh, well, I mean, I guess it takes all the best things we know about Star Trek, spins it on its head, and parodies it in a way that you can really enjoy, and you can instantly understand being a Star Trek nerd. I mean, if you like your comedy and you like your Star Trek, this is like the ideal combination of two. Now, there are a few things that I didn't like. I don't like Mariner and being related to the captain. I'm not a fan of that.
I agree with that. I don't like the fact that she's related to the captain. I think that we're going to get a lot more cross cohabitation between the senior staff and the lower decks, which I was kind of hoping there wouldn't be.
Yeah,
like you'd see the command staff, but they wouldn't be like heavily involved in the plot. But now you got like Mariner stuck in a cell with like the first officer, and they're just like, it's like there's a little too much of the command staff. And honestly, I've seen like images of lower decks, and it's like pictures of the command staff, not the lower deck staff. And it's like, no, that's not the crew. Like I've seen people who do reviews, and it has pictures of the command staff on there, and I'm like, that's not the crew they're focusing on. Like either you don't know the show or you're dumb.
I agree.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Commander Cheetah, on the whole relationship between the captain and the ensign. That's exactly what somebody would do if they were prior military. and their kid was an officer. That way they could keep an eyeball on them and help them move through the ranks and crap like that.
Yeah, but he moved backwards in the ranks.
But hold on. So, to comment on the Mariner and the captain thing. Honestly, I think they do put a good spin on it. Because if you notice, the captain doesn't want her daughter there. And the daughter doesn't want to be under her mother.
Then why is she there? I've always wondered that. Like, why?
I think it's either in the first or second episode. It's one of the admirals or whatever did it.
Well, it's her dad.
Yeah,
her dad is an admiral.
Yeah. But yeah, they're like, I think it's him trying to get them to mend relationships because obviously they don't have a good relationship, and I think they're trying to put a comedic spin on it.
She's almost.
I personally think.
Sorry, go on.
I personally think that they've done a pretty good job of putting that spin on it and making it a laughable situation because she's trying to upshow her mom and her mom's trying to upshow her.
Okay.
But I was thinking she's almost like the Jim Kirk of the lower decks. Mariner is, she's rebellious. She says "fuck you" to authority, all of that sort of shit. And her mom is supposed to represent the authority. And
actually, she does not sleep with every alien she comes across, though, so she can't be.
Yeah. I'm just saying, kind of.
That they've let.
She definitely was an officer. That's no doubt. One episode. She wants to hit him for sure. The first officer.
You were breaking up there for a second, Sam.
Mariner definitely wants to go with the first officer. That's for sure.
Oh, okay. I don't.
Yeah.
I think she just thinks he's attractive. I don't think she would. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
No, she wants a piece of that. But even that episode I liked, because that it kind of shows you what Star Trek's about. We need to fight to have a fight, and if we win the fight, we get out, and so that sort of scenario would be done at least 3 or 4 times over the different seasons of different shows. So they took the piss with that, and instead of them being reluctant fighters, they wanted to be the ones to do it, and they couldn't wait to do it. And you knew once they did do it, they'll kick that guy's ass because it's totally against the grain, so to speak. And that's the parody of it. I fucking love it. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant writing.
Actually, the funny thing is did you notice in that fight that all he used was double axe handles like Kirk did?
Yeah.
Oh,
I knew they were doing it. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too. It was like he was fighting the Gorn or something.
Yeah. And then he just only used double axe handles. I'm like, I was dying. That is another good part that I forgot to mention.
Oh, also, did you guys notice a lot of that fight that the guy who was supposed to be the Kirkish dude was using Kirk's double axe handle move by punching him with both of his fists and stuff like that? I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, whenever what's his name was fighting the big creature guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was using all of Kirk's fighting moves. He was using the double-handed pounding whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's a double axe handle.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a wrestling term. I don't know if you know wrestling, but the double axe handle's the 2 hands, and that's all he was doing the whole time. And it's like, oh
exactly.
God, it's Kirk. And you can tell though, that guy is a representation of Kirk. You can tell, just the way he acts, the things.
No. Not Kirk. Maybe more Riker. He's more.
No, I think it's Kirk.
If anything, I would say it's an in between. If anything, I would say it's a mixture of both.
Maybe in the fighting, but by the end of I don't know, even Riker can be quite rebellious. But at the end, when they both had to give in their reports, she decided to give him a pass and not report anything. But he was by the book and fucking threw her ass in the brig. So that's
right under the bus.
I guess you're right about that.
And that's not Kirk. And that's not Kirk at all. You know what I mean?
Kirk was still Kirk was by the book on the ship. When Kirk was off ship, that's when he was like, hey, I can get away with whatever. I can sleep with whatever. Captain Kirk sleeps with the universe.
He was by the book on the ship, and he was off the book on the ship too. I mean, the guy, when you look at Star Trek lore, when it comes to saying, fuck you to authority, Kirk is he's the genesis of that. you know. And
Well, then again, Kirk
but
was
anyway,
also pretty much
when
a
it comes down to
walking
fighting,
court-martial waiting to happen.
I mean, he stole the fucking Enterprise, and then blew it up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
He's a walking court-martial.
He is
So-
the teenage Starfleet captain. He's just stealing the parents' vehicles and ramming it into a tree.
God, he was so lucky some whale alien decided to fucking destroy Earth so he could save it. If it wasn't for that, he'd probably be in the brig for the rest of his life. If you think about it. And he ended up still being part of Starfleet after all he did. You know, well, we'll just make you a captain now and let you fucking...
they demoted him. I'd have been like,
yeah.
I'd have been like, okay, you need to retire, sir. I would have at least done a forcible retirement on him.
Was he?
Yeah,
Was he? I know we're going a bit. We'll get back onto lower decks, but one quick thing: was he an admiral in Generations, or was he still Captain?
He was. He was an admiral in Generations. He had just obtained admiral, and then he died.
Yeah,
He didn't get forced. He didn't get forced. Retired. He got forced promoted. Like if you think about it, he didn't want to. Like from everything I've ever seen, like he didn't want to go above captain. So they promoted him to get him off the bridge.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you kind of can't blame him because he just like Grand Theft Auto one of their strongest ships and a whole bunch of other stupid stuff.
Well, no, he ordered the sabotage of one of their strongest ships, the Excelsior. He hijacked one of their flagships, the Constitution Enterprise, and then blew it up just to kill 12 Klingon officers.
Exactly.
Like, y'all couldn't have like set up force fields or something, and like there were 12 of them, like, and they were coming onto your territory.
Yeah, but they were outnumbered, and they were Klingons as well, man. You know what I mean?
They weren't outnumbered. Well, no, Kirk's crew was outnumbered. There was only a couple of them, but still, they were coming.
So, you're talking about Klingons here, and I'm sitting here looking at the show list for Lower Decks. How about that Envoys episode with the Klingons?
Oh yeah,
I love it.
I love that. The one where Mariner and Blemler are escorting the Klingon, and Mariner's getting drunk with the Klingon. Do you remember that one, Sam?
Yeah, I do remember it. I remember the worms and stuff like that. Yeah, they have to try and bring him back, don't they? Because they don't know where the fuck he is. Yeah.
Is that the one? That's the one also where the cyborg was going through all of the different stations, wasn't he? Science, medical.
Oh yeah, he's got all the different jobs.
Security, like he was going. I love how it's just like he can switch whenever. He's just like, And
not only that, but he's damn good at security.
Yeah, he is, man. He took out some Borg.
Well, even with this show, like we mentioned earlier, like the Doctor being a great character, but I think we're always going to get little snippets of the Doctor. The same way with the Bajoran security officer, we're always going to get snippets of him. We're never going to possibly get full episodes dedicated to those characters. But I love what they offer anyway. Just those moments when you realize who they are and what they offer when they get a chance. Like the Bajoran guy always wanting to fucking split the ship and or jettison the warp core for some fucking reason. He's got a fascination over that. Love it.
It's Tuesday. You want to jettison it because it's Tuesday.
He's a combination between Janeway and Cisco. He just wants to blow everything up and
Oh, he's got Worf in him, mate. He's got Worf in him.
Worf never wanted to blow up the ship. Worf wanted to.
But he's always up for a fight. He'll never back down from a fight. Let's just say that. He's not an instigator, but he won't step back. I just feel like the fact they're both security officers, and instead of having a Klingon one, we've got a hardcore Bajoran one. He's been through the paces. There were a couple of other characters. There was one character who was part of the main crew, who we haven't seen actually since the first episode. It was like a balding lieutenant. I think we saw him in the first episode when everyone turned into zombies and they were killing shit, and he had his heart plagued with by the green alien medic woman, and then we haven't really seen him since.
The balding guy. I think I've seen him. I've seen him like not in any way or form, but I've seen him around, but yeah, you're right. He hasn't been in any real scenes since the first episode, which is sad because he could just be like the I don't want to say the racist, but like, not racist. Dude, be careful, man. CBS comes after people if you start playing their stuff. You have
30 seconds. That is copyright law. So
yeah, well, I don't think CBS is banging somebody in the copyright office because that. But he could be like the discriminatory. That's the word I'm looking for. The discriminatory, like the one who like hates the lower decks, even though like,
Yeah, he likes
was
being
lower
like
decks at one point.
Yeah, he thinks he's part of the cool kids because he's a lieutenant now and he's hanging around with the first officer. But he's really a sad, balding git.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
I love how they had a
lower
Tellarite
decks.
captain.
Sorry.
I love how they had a Tellarite captain on last week's episode. The Tellarite captain, the pig-looking furry guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You don't see, except in Enterprise, you don't see very many Tellarites, and it's like they're one of the founding members of the Federation, and it's like I'm just kind of happy to see more of them now because it's like there's not many Tellarites at all. And although I know it would be terrible, I kind of do want to see an actual the cat species on live action Trek because honestly, I know it works better in animation, but it's like they've been there too for a long time since the 60s, and we've never had a live action adaptation.
See, I'm not.
We only had the cartoon versions of them.
Yeah, that's what I meant. There's only been the cartoon versions, like in the original animated series, and now this series. But
I'm not a fan of when creators make alien species, which are basically animals from Earth. I was like, how? It's like that stuff jars me. I don't like it. She's from an alien world, yet she's related to. She looks and pretty much is possibly related to a species of animal from Earth. And we get that with reptile-looking aliens as well, insectoid-looking aliens that we had in Enterprise when they were trying to fucking copy the Separatists from Star Wars and shit like that. That really pissed me off, So no originality, but that's another day. But
and there goes our furry audience. That's nice.
But it's stuff like that, like why do we have to make aliens look like animals from Earth? Like for fuck's sake, they're aliens. You're telling me you're going.
I wouldn't mind them looking like the Kilrathi from Wing Commander. I always liked the design of the Kilrathi. There's a game. Mark Hamill was actually in these games. It was called Wing Commander, and the Kilrathi are these just like lion looking like. And I mean they do look like lions, but at the same time they definitely don't look like anything from Earth.
Oh, so basically the kitty cat Klingons, as I call them.
Yeah, I mean you pretty much hit it on the head there. Yeah, the kitty cat Klingons. So, but I mean, I just always like the design of those, and I figure, because I mean, you've got the Tellarites, and I mean, they look. The Tellarites don't look like. I mean, I think they have the snout, and that's about it. If that, I don't even know. But
well, the thing is also if you have like a porcine type of creature, for instance, like in Star Wars, the Gamorreans, they are vaguely humanoid. But yeah, I get what you're saying about that.
Chris, that previous picture, yeah? Not this one you're showing now. If you could put the previous picture on, please.
Yeah, those are Kilrathi.
This is what I like. When I saw this, it kind of made me realize this is one of the things also I like about Star Trek. You put these guys in impossible situations, but the solution to deal with this impossible situation can be quite simple if they can get to that solution. So in this particular case, the whole fucking crew is turned into zombies and they're biting each other, killing each other and shit like that. The solution, get this fucking ensign to the sickbay so they can get this gel off his ass and then turn it into an antidote. And that's Star Trek in a nutshell. Every solution could be simple with some jargon. And I love that about that particular, about the pilot, for instance. Loved it. It encompasses everything about Star Trek. And that's what I love.
Okay.
So no dead silence here, guys. Anything more we want to say about this show?
I mean, I'm loving it. I mean, I hope they keep it up.
Same here. I can't wait to see the end of the season and also what they're bringing to the table next season.
There is a overarching narrative to a degree. I guess it's kind of possibly the development of Boima and the relationship between Mariner and her mother, which I believe is a little bit better now after she got demoted back to ensign when she was a lieutenant because they had to work together to save the ship.
Yeah, but she's been promoted and demoted now twice. She was promoted.
She wants to be an ensign because in a world where you're not, it doesn't matter about how much money you make because you're not making any money. She just wants to do the right thing, and to do the right thing is to be an ensign, as far as she's concerned, at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, but her mom promoted her just to kind of force her to want to leave the ship. Like, but she was that. But she was also a lieutenant, I believe, before. Like, there was a flashback of in this past episode where she was I think she was a lieutenant. And I mean, I would say she was even lieutenant commander, possibly at one. I think it was mentioned she might have been either lieutenant or lieutenant commander at one point. And then she was demoted because of something she did. So I'm sure that we're going to find out what she did. And it was probably the right thing, but she did it the wrong way. And that's what happens. So
I know us four love this show, but I haven't really been following how the show is being, how other people are taking the show. Is it really popular? Does anyone are aware of this?
From what I can tell, people are coming around. Like, there was a lot of hate in the beginning. This isn't Star Trek. But it's after about 2 or 3 weeks, people started to finally come around, or the haters just kind of started disappearing because they weren't getting the clickbait that they wanted.
I think it was a lot more that the haters were not getting the clickbait or the clicks they wanted because the show is actually good. So, a lot of that just shut that up right there.
Exactly, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. If anything, it keeps you wanting more after you finish an episode, which is the right way to end, because wanting more is the best way to do things. 25 minutes, unfortunately, is not enough. But if we had any more than that, we'll probably have our fill of this show and get very tired of it. So it's done right.
Yeah, we don't need more than 25 minutes per episode. I feel like it would be too much.
So there is there is no real hatred now for this. I mean, would you say this could be like something maybe the makers of Star Trek need to look into the future, maybe doing more comedy material instead of just doing all this dark serious shit all the time? Maybe going back to basics a little bit, maybe doing more episodic shows, because this feels quite episodic for a start. Every episode we've watched so far, apart from the pilot, obviously, because it needs to be an introduction. But it does feel quite episodic. How about you guys? Do you feel the same?
Sorry, I know I'm hogging a lot of the spotlight here, but I honestly feel like they need to go to a format where, it's kind of like, I think Strange New Worlds, they're going to try to do this format where it's like, you do episodic. I feel like they need to not do 60-minute or 45-minute episodes every week. I feel like they need to write a story about an episode on a planet, and the episode just needs to be as long as it needs to be. If it's an episode that can be wrapped up in 30 minutes, then they do it. If it's 40 minutes, if it's 50 minutes, I think they need to write the story and then build the time frame around that, because sometimes you have these episodes of like Next Gen and Voyager that are like, that could have been wrapped up in 30 minutes, but they had to throw so much padding in there to get it to that 45-minute. With streaming, you don't have to have that padding. You don't need to have that. Like, you can just have 1 week, you can have and I know people are like, oh, I feel gypped. I would rather have a good conducive story that is not like padded out, and like have it just good, rather than like them having like consistently 45 minutes. Like, it's like with The Mandalorian. People were like, oh, this episode was really long and this episode was really short. Well, that's because they told a story. And as long as I get 30 minutes out of it, I feel like it's an okay. You know what I mean? Like, so if you can sit there, you can say you get a 30-minute episode this week and a 40-minute because we have a little bit more to tell this week. But if you're doing this episodic thing, I think that the episode runtime should not matter. It should be, we have the story, it's good, we don't have to put any padding in it or any filler in it. You know, it tells a story, open and close. And that's how I think that they should do Strange New Worlds. I think that that's how they should do a lot of these Star Trek shows. But there are a lot of them that could be resolved in like far less time, and they act like, or, you know, I don't know, do some other, you know, like after episode or something like that. Like with, I don't know. But anyway, what do you guys think?
I just feel like this out of the box thinking by CBS is the way to go, and I can't come up with any ideas at the top of my head because we're kind of so used to a formula to break out of it. It's really hard to think of. It's even hard to construct in my mind at this particular moment in time. But I'm sure there's ways of doing things, and which Star Trek fans would appreciate and acknowledge that this is still Star Trek, but it feels significantly different, like Lower Decks. Unfortunately, when you're watching stuff like Picard, it doesn't feel Star Trekky. And when I showed you guys that video of the Romulans talking about androids and you know, all that sort of shit, and they've been dealing with androids for years in previous episodes of Star Trek. So to create this fucking law about them hating androids just feels kind of weird, and it goes against the grain, and they don't even know their own shit. And so that means you're dealing with people who are creating something that don't even know their own shit. They're just thinking it was Star Trek, we'll throw Picard in there, get some people from other shows in there, and everyone should be fucking happy. That's who we're fucking dealing with, making something like Picard, but not Lower Decks, and that's why I appreciate it. Chris, I'm sorry, you haven't spoken much, man. You got anything to say?
No, you guys have been hitting all the points.
Thank you.
So I've just been kind of sitting here listening.
Fair enough. Well, Buck Grimes, you got anything to say, mate?
Well, I just hope that they continue to come out with more shows on this series. I really want to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I do too. And like I said, I think this is like the way forward now, maybe with Star Trek. Have a very minuscule overacting narrative. You know, a bit like what Voyager was, you know, them wanting to get home. That's what made you watch it, you know, because you wanted to see them fucking get home. You knew that wouldn't happen until season 7, but nevertheless, they got home. And this is the overarching narrative, maybe the relationship with the pet, with the mom, Boimler's growth, stuff like that. And maybe that could be just a narrative for season 1. It doesn't have to be an overarching narrative for every season. But something like that, but still keep it predominantly episodic. So you can just jump in. You know, you can afford to miss an episode. You shouldn't miss too much. Go into another episode, catch the other episode. Doesn't feel like an overarching story necessarily. Yeah, that's the way forward. And I hope we get some more stuff like that from the creators of Star Trek. I'm very much looking forward to what's that show again, Roberta? That Pike show?
Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds.
Oh, that's the one
very
with
much looking forward to
Pike, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. I can never get enough Star Trek. Bring it on. Swarm me in it. I want to fucking drown in it. You know, we need to encourage other people to get involved in Star Trek. Star Trek is the best science fiction ever. I will say that regardless of Star Wars. I will happily say that. You know, you don't make this many fucking shows and not be the best. Star Wars doesn't have this many shows when it comes to, it doesn't have this many fucking movies, you know, so you can't make this much shit and not be the best fucking sci-fi. It is created ideas for stuff like our tablets, our phones, and stuff like that. Some of these things were initially shown on Star Trek first before they became a reality, you know, in the world we live in. And who knows, you know, maybe in our lifetimes we might experience a fucking holodeck. We're getting VR already and stuff like that, and we're getting things kind of merging. Who knows? You know, that's in our horizon, and obviously it's going to correlate with people, you know, with Star Trek. Star Trek is just the best. You know, it's about bringing people together, exploring, understanding. You know, just fantastic. I can never get enough of this. Never. I don't know about you guys.
That's why I do this podcast every week, because I love Trek. So
Yeah, I do. Yes. Go on. If anything, sorry, like, so one more thing. Like, from where it was with Kirk and then where it went on with TNG. TNG really made it what it is now. Like the bedrock was kind of done with the original series, but to what it is now, you can thank TNG for that, in my opinion.
Well, TNG also didn't have like the Greek gods showing up on an episode, and
Yeah, they kind of had a little bit of that. Once it went DS9, they did have a godly figure with a fucking wormhole and these crazy Bajorans and shit like that. But they were straying away from all of that. They had the fucking Q being like the crazy fucking god figure. But he did have some weirdness and some stupid alien creatures that were only one and dones. You see them for one fucking episode and you'll never see them again. Stuff like that. But nevertheless, they're all part of this amazing show that has spawned hundreds and hundreds of episodes of stuff that has kept us entertained for decades. And long may it continue. I will never stop watching Star Trek. I love Star Trek. It's the greatest. It's the greatest of all time. How's that?
that sounds like a great outro, man.
Fantastic. So time to go, everyone. Hope you enjoyed our show. We're going to be doing a show on Tuesday, I believe, regarding Star Trek.
Tomorrow, yep, it's Star Trek Day. Woo! We need to figure out what we're doing, but
yeah, we have to figure out something what we're doing. We're kind of like making it Star Trek Day today with our fucking filet showing of Star Trek right now. But nevertheless, we are going to talk about more Trek on Tuesday. So we'll see you for that. I think we might just keep it a straight up talk of Trek and everything we love about Trek and Trek. I guess it's Trek, baby. So thank you very much, Buck Crime, Boogeyman, and Cousin Cheetah. We're gonna get the fuck out of here. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.